I believe that good marketing works. It's not that good marketing only happens on X platform. It's that good marketing works.
Well, hey, welcome back to the Amanda Kaufman Show. And today I'm introducing you to Prassède Kemp, the marketing strategist who helps visionary CEOs finally fire themselves as their own marketer and show up with real confidence. After nearly a decade helping service based brands stand out with bold, personality driven content, she built a multi six-figure agency, shifted into coaching, and launched Numinous to make visibility feel doable for real people who have real lives. Prassède is the queen of untangling perfectionism. Yes. Simplifying systems, amazing, and teaching confidence through structure, not pressure. She creates visibility plans that feel grounding instead of overwhelming, and tools like her camera shy to content ready kit that get even the most hesitant creators on camera without the second guess spiral. Now she's building the Ascend Collective, which is a membership that's designed for sustainable visibility, confident leadership, and content systems that help you grow without burning out. This is going to be so good. I cannot wait to dive in. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I would just love to understand what has made authenticity and showing up in your marketing in a way that is really real and very grounded. What makes that so important to you?
Well, I think it came from solving a very practical problem in my business early on, which was that business owners would come to me and they wanted to do this and that in their marketing, and then we would pursue those efforts only for them to maybe not turn any video footage in, or not be really like excited about the material that we were producing. And so I really had to dig deeper on what exactly was happening in that interaction, where they had a vision, but when it came to the execution, there were so many, just like a lot of cognitive dissonance, I noticed. And so, in really exploring that, I realized that there are so many different elements to this conversation around authenticity and how we produce content online and how we get business owners to show up for themselves and for their businesses, that I really started to build a philosophy on how to work with business owners to get through those things so that they could actually fulfill the vision that they had for themselves. So it came from a very practical place and just evolved into so much more than that.
Makes so much sense. You know, my own business journey, I spent probably the first 2 years, I was definitely a networking hustle bunny. Like I would just go to any seminar, networking group, conference, you name it. I spent like a ton of time on planes and in cars just going to like be among people and meet them. But do you think I had like any Instagram presence at all? I didn't even have an Instagram account.
Yeah.
I wasn't emailing people. Like the formality of my marketing was just simply missing.
Mm.
So talk to me a little bit about what you're seeing a lot of business owners facing as like where we're at the time of this recording, we're about to head into 2026. The landscape's changed like crazy. You know, there's a lot of rhetoric out there about how everything is changing, but I think there's also paired with that a lot of pressure to perform in your marketing in certain ways.
Mm.
I'm curious, like, what are you seeing and what are you thinking that business owners should be doing about it?
There's so many things that I want to speak to in that. I guess what I will first say is that I have never seen much success from forcing yourself to do something that goes against your own internal authentic code. So even though we hear all of this rhetoric on you should be here, you should be doing that, I try to build marketing strategies from a place of mixing strategy and mixing your well being. For example, one thing that I talk about a lot is making sure that you're choosing the right content vehicle or modality for you and your brain and your well-being. So for example, I loved that example that you came up with. I think networking is a really, really great place for a lot of people. And the reason may be that you are a great human connector, or that you just get so much more out of being in person or from having like an in-depth conversation with someone. And so I encourage my clients to look at how they communicate, how they ingest information, and really deduce what it is that their strong points are in terms of communication. For example, I have a lot of clients who are really verbose, like they're really great when you give them room to run when they're communicating, right? They're much more long form in style. And when you try to translate that to maybe, this short form video style, they really, really struggle. It's not that they don't have amazing messages to convey or that that they don't like to talk. It's just that they want room to run. In that circumstance, we might direct them towards a blog or a YouTube channel rather than having them start on an Instagram or a TikTok. So I would encourage people that there's a lot of rhetoric online about where you should be and why, but taking a step back to really reflect on your communication style, because I believe that good marketing works. It's not that good marketing only happens on X platform. It's that good marketing works. And if you know how you want to communicate and connect with people, you can actually choose platforms that suit that, and you're going to be a lot happier in the long run. So I don't know if that answered your question. I hope it did. An important message I want
Oh, I
business
think
owners.
so. I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, I mean, totally agree with you. Like, good marketing just works, right? And having worked with a lot of people over the years, I see a lot of the conversation that's very surface level tends to be very transactional, and it turns out they've got a tool for sale, right? And so like we it's easy to form the belief system that marketing is the tool, right? Like marketing is this podcast, or marketing is this TikTok, or marketing is, the short forms on Instagram, or marketing is doing YouTube. Like, I could list all the different ways. There's so many different ways. There's a lot of different choices. Let's just take a beat, because we may be saying the word marketing and our listener may have a specific idea of what that means that may be different than what we're saying. So maybe just take a beat for us and share, how do you define it's marketing? You're working on marketing right now.
That's a great question. I think that for the business owner, marketing is communicating to every key player what it is that you want to communicate, what it is that they need to hear from you. I think that that's probably a definition that most business owners can get behind. Because for most business owners, they don't want to go as deep into what marketing is or is not. And I always say that if you're going to go too far down that road, at some point you're going to have this tension between you as the CEO or you as the face of your business and you as the marketer, right? So when focusing on marketing as a business owner, I really want you to focus on avenues and modalities and forms of communication that gets you in front of the people you need to be in front of in the way that you like, and do it consistently and commit to a consistency with it. And you can inform that with a lot of different data or by talking to professionals, but I would say qualify marketing that way. And until you've scaled to a point where you can bring on more consistent expert help, then that's a good definition. As an example of that, I have a lot of sales calls in the week, and form of marketing that I think people really overlook is email marketing. And for a lot of service-based businesses, email marketing goes so undersung and is so beautiful and creative a tool, an effective tool for a lot of service-based businesses that goes very, very, very underutilized. And it's easy to create systems around, it's easy to create templates around, it's easy to communicate, and it's a much lower lift than creating content every single day for social media. And it puts you in front of every email that you already have, every person that you might already consider a warm lead. And so that's excellent marketing, but a lot of times people don't even think of it as marketing. They think of it as like spam, or, there's just a bad stigma around it sometimes. So, to answer your original question, I would say when it comes from the perspective of a business owner, marketing is our attempt to get you in front of the people that need to see you in the most effective way possible, in
I
your
love it.
voice.
Totally. And like on the spam thing, it's only spam if it's from a complete stranger and you have no idea where it came from and you have no interest in that subject matter, right? Like for sure there's spam, like but that is a very different thing than a communication with someone that you have met previously or had encountered you previously in another marketing channel. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of the confusion is like marketing is like as big of a topic as businesses. Like it's such a huge discipline if you really want to like dive into it because there's the advertising, there's content strategy, there's your branding and your positioning, like there's all these different things. And I think people, it's easy to get into the perfectionism wheel because our brains really crave that simplicity, and the
Mm-hmm.
bias is like, oh, there's just one way, like there's got to be one way to do this thing. And like you're saying, no, there's lots and lots of ways. And often there's easy to do things that, easily done, easily not done, I suppose. But there's so many things that people could be doing to simplify. And to your point, like one of the things that came up for me as we were talking about like this whole role of authenticity is like super often when people say, well, that's not authentic to me, as a high performance coach, sometimes I notice that people are saying it's an authenticity issue, and it's actually a clarity and desire to earn skills issue. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Like there's something that's like pulling them to want to increase their proficiency in a particular type of marketing or in a particular arena that they find themselves in. And then they kind of default to using authenticity as the explanation for why they're not, pursuing improvement in that. So, can you speak to that a little bit around balancing, I suppose? Like, am I really listening to my inner truth? Or am I scared of doing something that's new and it's like uncomfortable to pursue that? Like, because I don't know, my authenticity, just speaking for me, it seems like I've done my best to maintain authenticity the whole time, but I am authentically a very different human 9 years into my business than I was on year zero.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say one way that I try to discern is that fear and authenticity, they actually feel very different in the body. And if you have a confusion around that, I think it's always great to take a moment to pause and tap in. Fear can often feel constrictive. It feels like your brain going offline, right? It can feel like, I don't know where you feel it, but like I feel it maybe here in my throat, right? If we can identify it as fear, fear often also feels like you've come up against this wall in the road and it's just so impassable, but you look at it and instead of pausing to think how do I get around this, immediately in the body you're like, oh, I need to go the other direction, right? So there's a moment there where you freeze up and it feels too much for the nervous system. And what I try to teach is to treat that fear instead as a door, right? You're walking up the stairs to a door. You know that the door is closed. You pause, you knock on the door, and then when the door opens, you prepare yourself to enter, right? And it's a transition between one space and another space. It doesn't have to be a roadblock, it doesn't have to be a wall. It is a barrier, but then we make an intentional choice to open that door and move through. So I think with that, what people really can do is pay attention to how that sensation exists in the body
Hmm.
and where it is that you may be playing it safe and calling it authenticity. Um, and also look at perhaps the gaps between where you envision yourself going and what you're maybe refusing to do to get there and why that may be the case. I have a client, for example, who I've worked with her for over 5 years, and she has always had this inner yearning to share her message more via video, via YouTube in a long form way. But anytime we would approach a project like that, she would just not feel great on camera, right? But she still has this internal deep desire to share her message that way. And so if these things continue to come up and come up and come up for you, but you're refusing to do them, there's something there, right, that deserves to be explored. And so, part of my approach with her, and it took some time, and it's okay if it takes time, is to build confidence through small action until you really get closer, not only to that vision of you as this certain version of you, but seeing yourself have the capacity to do so, right? So maybe it's not launching a YouTube right away, but maybe we can teach you how to do like some faceless B-roll, and then maybe we can teach you how to do an interview. And then when you feel really good about those things and seeing yourself repetitively online, being on YouTube is going to feel like that much more tangible goal. You know what I mean?
I love
So,
that.
yeah.
I was just thinking about another interview we did recently, and we were talking about expert authority positioning, and this idea that like sometimes we feel this pressure like we've got to like lead the whole conversation. And of course, when you're the expert authority, it's like, yeah, I mean, you are leading the conversation, but how do you get there, right? And it's like the framework that we arrived at, and I'm curious how you feel about this one, is that we were saying, okay, expert authority is the destination, but like before that, are you contributing? Are you contributing to the conversation? Are you furthering the conversation? And that's one reason I love doing this like dialogue based podcast as a format for marketing, because it's like, hey, it's a collaborative contributing thing, and it's my show, my name on it, but like it's such a great opportunity to, for example, do podcast guesting, right? Because you don't have to have your own show, but you can build the skill of speaking to your subject matter in other people's containers, and it's like beneficial to you because you're developing skill. It's beneficial to the host because they've got somebody that's like bringing a fresh conversation, right? So like before you're leading it, sometimes the thing to do is to contribute to it. And if you're not contributing to it, let's just check in. Are you even participating? Like, are you subscribing to things that you do like? Are you participating in like, well, what I would say if I was saying it? Like, are you kind of rehearsing at that level first? Because
Mm,
if you're not participating, then it's going to be hard to contribute. If you're not contributing, it's going to be hard to lead the conversation.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think even included in that, maybe we'd include this in participation or before that. Are you even absorbing like this conversation that you eventually want to lead in? Are you researching this conversation that you eventually want to lead?
I love that.
And I think that a lot can come, not much. I wish folks spent more time sitting down and really reflecting on their philosophy in their space. That's always been something that I have sought to address in my work. I have always seen myself as someone who could see where someone else was trying to go and be the bridge for them to see themselves that way as well. And so, if you don't have that middleman, I would love to see more people sit down and really think about the space that they're trying to occupy, the problem they're trying to solve, who they are within that space as well, what that contributes to their sense of identity, how they've already been executing on that in their own personal work. Right? It doesn't have to be on a public platform at all. It can be with the clients that you already serve. What do they see in you as well? Right? Where are you? How would they voice your contribution to them? So I think that that's a wonderful philosophy. I believe very much in the baby step, in the consistent baby step. If we can be asking, the harder the question that we ask, the better the result. And so I think that even just sitting down and saying, how do I see myself as capable of existing in this space? What else is going on in that space? And what is my relationship to it? Can be a really easy first step that doesn't require vulnerability, like a lot of vulnerability. And you can build confidence there without the sense of being exposed in it by being a thought leader in it. That can
Absolutely.
come
Well,
later.
and like I think about influence, right? And it's like in order to influence, one really should understand, right? Understand what you're influencing and understand like and to understand it requires, to your point, like observation. So I got this advice like years ago from somebody else. They said, if you're going to claim expertise, you need to read the top 10 books in that arena minimum. And you need to every year be reading the top books that are coming out in your space so that you can speak intelligently to what is happening, around you. So I think people can take it too far, get a little addicted to the consumption side. But if you don't, like you said, if you don't have the information or the data to be able to form a philosophy, a personal philosophy, then it's going to be hard for anybody to listen to you in any format because it's
Mm.
like, well, what's informing the opinions that you're expressing, or what's informing your understanding of the issues if you like aren't demonstrating that. Yeah, that makes sense. So what is the best way for people to follow you and to, sorry, let me start that over. What is the best way for people to follow you and find out more?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at numinous.creative. Numinous spelled Numinous.creative. That's probably the best way to connect with me. Yeah, I love communicating with people there. Shoot me a DM. I'm happy to chat.
I love it. I love it. And I understand you have a little gift for somebody who does reach out to you.
Yes, I do. If you go to Instagram or perhaps in the show notes as well, I have a workbook I'd like to offer your audience. It's called the Creator's Mindset Reset. It talks about this perfectionism trap, this imposter syndrome trap, this line between authenticity and fear, and how to really bridge that. Because I very much believe that the problem isn't the camera, it's just how we're relating to the camera. So if you're someone who just feels like fear is that wall for you in appearing more online. Let's stop, let's pause, let's address that so that you can be the empowered creator that you see yourself as. So shoot me a DM. I'll have a special code for you to get that product. And I hope that it helps.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Sadie. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. It's been wonderful.
Love it. Dear listener, if you've got a friend who they've been wanting to post more content, they've been, wanting to be more effective with their marketing and they're just kind of stutter stepping, or maybe they've enrolled in a couple of programs and then, slammed into that wall, definitely share this episode with them. So you can do that by grabbing the link to the episode wherever you happen to be watching or listening and just send it to them on text or DM. Do that with 3 of your friends and just watch people clear those blocks. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do smash that subscribe button. And finally, if you've been loving the show lately, do take 2 minutes, please, and go ahead and do an honest review. It helps other people when they're considering the show to spend time with us when you do that. And we are always so grateful for that. So thank you so much. We'll be back with another episode very shortly. And until then, make sure you just do what matters.